on the list, and I went through ones that I thought were interesting, or I'd heard a lot about, or I'd heard people talk about. And the first one was a movie called The Substance. Now,
Was it a movie that had real substance?
kind of, it definitely has a message to say. It definitely has something to say. Okay, The Substance, Jordan. Okay, Jordan, The Substance is, and you're gonna get this reference, is a lot like the movie The Fly.
Oh, so it's horrifyingly upsetting and disgusting.
People always ask for something new. It's inevitable. At 50, well, it stops.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect.
Yes. Okay. So, a lot of people said this movie's good. Like, it's really good and it's really funny. But it's also disgusting. Just really disgusting. And you know me, Jordan. I have a tolerance level for disgusting. I'm okay with disgusting. And I'm like, alright, how disgusting could this possibly be? And whenever you ask yourself the question, how disgusting can this possibly be? It is either way more disgusting than you can possibly imagine, or really not that disgusting. Ugh. This might be one of the most disgusting movies I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so what is this movie about?
Okay. First of all, have you heard of this movie?
I don't think so.
No, okay. So it stars, I believe, Demi Moore, I believe is who it stars. And she's a kind of an aging star, basically. An aging star. She has an not an acrobatic, aerobic show that she's done for many, many years that she's about to be fired from because she's gotten too old. And she picks up this substance, basically, that she injects in herself that will create a second, better version of her. Younger, hotter, fitter, whatever. And so
Okay.
she gets given this substance by a doctor that she sees later in the movie. And the sequence of this other her being created is essentially like this other her bursts out of her back like she's like a cocoon. Like, just like, and it's it goes on for
So
forever, and it's really gross.
like when you put water on Mowgli from Gremlins and Gremlins start popping out his back?
Kind of, yeah. Basically, kind of looks similar. Well, more like, yeah, more like a birth, like a womb, but yeah, kind of similar, like similar kind of concept. And so then they become the company that creates this substance focuses on the you're united, you're one. So you may be two people, but you're one being. So part of the deal is every 7 days they have to swap. And they have for the other her named, I can't remember the name. I'm gonna call her Jessica, but that's not the right name. So Jessica has to remove fluid from the original person every few hours in order to remain stable. Otherwise, she starts to like disintegrate and fall apart. Um, and she's
Okay.
super hot. That's the whole thing. She's super hot, super pretty, and every 7 days they have to swap back. So the original version lives a life, and so the hot girl.
This sounds incredibly convoluted as a system for like in this world.
Yeah, it's really kind of yeah. It's not. It's Well, I guess
Like we're gonna create a second version of you that's super hot, but like she can only exist for 7 days, and then your ugly ass has to go back out and live life for
yeah,
a
that's
while.
that's
It
sort
just
of part of it. Is like, yeah, she becomes depressed because the other girl's so hot. She's been giving all the attention. She gets given the original version of hers own original show, and she's getting all the attention. And so it gets to a point where every time they swap, the original version like, fuck it, I'll just do whatever. So she binge eats. She treats her body like shit. And it's giving the other version of her like horrid nightmares and like really vile, awful, violent, disgusting nightmares. And it sort of gets to a point where she starts to they start to sort of resent each other, and they start to think of themselves as like separate people, which kind of violates the system. And if she stays active for too long, like if she goes past the 7 days, she starts to cause damage to the original body. So she goes like a couple hours late and her finger turns to like an old person's finger. And so she goes back, again, treats her body like shit. They swap back eventually. And the creation, the girl, Jessica, starts to stay in control longer and longer and longer, and just keeps taking fluid from the original till she basically tries to draw fluid, and there's no more fluid. She can't get any more stabilizer fluid out of her, and her contact at the company or whatever is like, oh, in order to get more fluid, to regenerate the fluid, you have to swap. And so she swaps, and the original girl is now this horrid, like, ancient, like, hunchback, horrifying looking old woman, because she's been like taking stabilizer fluid, and she refuses to like swap back, and the company's like, well, you can stop, you can sever the connection, destroy the thing, and remain as you are. You can't go back, like you can't fix it, you will be like this forever, but you can choose to not to swap. And so she freaks out and goes to inject this fluid in the creation to destroy it. And she's about to do it, and she can't do it because they don't really explain it, but they I guess they share a consciousness. So like they seem to be kind of loosely aware of each other. But she goes to kill the Jessica, and she changes her mind last minute because she's like, oh, you're the best part of me. You're still the only good part of me. And she somehow, they're both conscious at the same time, and Jessica freaks out and murders her, sort of being like, she's like, oh, you're the best part of me, and the irony being that she's not. She's actually awful and terrible. She's not actually the best part of her. And so she kills her and like murders her bloody, and after she murders her, she starts to completely degrade. Without the original to get fluid from her, she starts to completely fall apart, and it turns into The Fly, basically, where like again, I can watch the Terrifier movies, and I can watch him tear people apart and more or less not flinch, but she pulls her teeth out, like she's pulling her teeth out.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because from your description, I don't get it. I don't get what the benefit to having a second person.
No, I don't either.
That's better than you in every way.
That can eventually develop its own consciousness and just usurp your life. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't see the appeal. I don't understand this. This seems unethical, and I don't. And also, like, they don't really tell her what the deal is, so she injects it, not really knowing what it does, and then all of a sudden, there's a person bursting out of her back. Like, I'm like, it sort of feels like you should maybe have been more clear about what this involved.
Literature says, I saw the preview for the movie and seemed like the most fascinating commentary on society and how it views beauty and youth.
It is absolutely a commentary on like, there's Dennis Quaid plays a real awful, like, he's just a sort of a representation of an executive, and he's awful, and there's all sorts of these gross close-ups of him eating that are just disgusting. Like, it does have commentary to say. I don't think it's funny. I don't see how it's a comedy, but apparently people find it funny.
This is supposed to be a comedy?
People describe
what you're describing sounds like a horror movie.
It's a body horror movie, but people described it as a comedy, a satire. I don't know how you do it. But
I just functionally don't understand.
So, well, okay, let me get to the end. So and this is the movie's version of remember Brundlefly? The awful Brundlefly. This is this movie's version of that. And so, okay, so she kills she kills the original girl, so her body's falling apart. So yeah, she's like pulling out teeth, and like her skin's peeling off, and it's bloody and awful and disgusting, and unpleasant.
Sounds unpleasant.
And so she decides.
It sounds very not YouTube friendly.
So she decides that in order to basically save herself, she needs to create a copy of herself. So she injects herself with the substance, and a horrible mutant creature. This is where the movie kind of stops making sense. Instead of it being a better version of herself, a horrible mutant creature bursts out of the back of her, who has the original girl's face on her like back, and it's this horrible, disgusting, deformed mutant creature. Oh, and the whole thing is the morning like aerobic show she does has become really popular. So she's being given what they call the New Year's show that she's been prepping for, and this is the reason why she hasn't been swapping back to the other girl. And so yeah, so this horrible mutant creature goes to like host this show in the hot girl stead, and like has the hot girl's face like on like a magazine cover, like on her face to disguise herself. And I guess it's supposed to be a commentary on like plastic surgery, I guess. I don't know. But she shows up, and then everyone eventually realizes she's this horrible mutant monster, and then just like explodes in a torrent of blood and guts that goes on forever, that even I went, this is disgusting. Like, it was unpleasant. It was an unpleasant movie.
So literature says, I wonder if the darker violent parts allude to what people are willing to do, i.e. surgery, body modification, etc., to achieve the perfect beauty and youthful appearance.
I suppose. Maybe.
And then she follows up with, but that's me injecting interpretation into it.
It's definitely one of those movies. It definitely is. It's just, it's a hard. I'm at that stage in my movie loving career where I can enjoy stuff like that. It's just really disgusting. Like really disgusting.
One could also interpret the monstrous clone coming from the clone thing being like, as each person tries to replicate the original, you get further and further and more monstrous because you're just trying to be someone else. Like, there's a lot of ways you could choose to interpret a horrifying scene like that.
The best thing I can, if you're like, because like it's disgusting in a different way than the Terrifier movies are. The best way I can describe it is to be like, if you ever see, like, everyone keeps comparing it to David Cronenberg, and absolutely, if you've seen The Fly, it's more disgusting than The Fly.
That's
in a bad way. In a bad way. And it makes it hard for me to recommend. I didn't enjoy it. I desperately wanted it to end. But it definitely has something to say. That's it. That's the substance. Disgusting.
Hey there, everyone. It's N-Card Justin again. Have you seen The Substance? Do you agree? Is it disgusting? Is it gross? Blech. Or did you get it? Because I certainly didn't get it. But if you would like, you can click the box on the left, and that's going to take you to the full podcast that this video is from. Or you can click the box on the right, and that's going to take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, hit subscribe if you haven't, and have a good day, everybody.